So again, I'm Dr. Paul Hollern, and we're going to cover the Marketing Assistant Program. We're going to specifically, this time, we're actually going to go into the marketing. We're going to go into the big picture marketing for the chiropractic assistant. And we're really going to simplify this. We're going to really make it real easy to understand. If you don't know anything about marketing, we're going to make it very easy to understand. And then we're going to go into all the basics, the foundational principles, but especially the marketing programs. Which ones do we do in the chiropractic office? And do we prefer? Which ones are most effective and which ones do we not do specifically? Now, these are the marketing programs that I use to open 77 offices in 20 states. Now, I'm going to give you the list of the marketing programs, but one of the things that I also do is I'll share with you the effectiveness. In other words, I'll be honest with you and I'll tell you this is not going to be as good a marketing. This will be really good. In other words, I'm not going to hype everything I say here as being the cat's meow, so to speak. Okay, so I will put it into perspective. Now, when we go into the marketing systems, there's some that are going to be way more valuable than others. And I'll go into, even if some aren't as valuable, I'll go into the reasons why you should do it, okay? And then we're going to pay a lot of attention to the ones that take a lot of labor. Does it take a lot of time, personnel? Does it take a lot of money? Is it repetitious? Does it need to be done regularly? And how effective is it? What's the effectiveness number? In other words, how much knowledge and skill do you have to know? Because some of these marketing things I'm going to cover, you absolutely kind of have to know nothing. But you know, it's kind of like life. The things that are the easiest don't work the most. The things that take the most effort are the ones that work the best. So we're going to walk through this. So having said that, let's go to the big picture first. Again, we're going to be covering the marketing systems. These are the chiropractic office marketing systems. These are the systems that I used to open 77 offices in 20 states, had 2 full-time associates. I'd see 350 patient visits a week. In other words, I could see as many patients as I want. And we'll go into why that is, because there's a tremendous amount of opportunity, number one, but unfortunately most patients aren't looking for chiropractors. And we're going to go in how to overcome that. And that's vital to understand how to overcome that. So having said that, let's go ahead and do a walkthrough with these big categories. And we're going to kind of, again, keep it real simple. These are major bullet points. So I've broken down marketing into 3 big categories. There's 3 big categories. The first one is the marketing where patients naturally go. So 8% of the population is looking for chiropractors, and they will naturally go to using certain venues looking for a chiropractor. Now, there's good and bad news about that. The bad news is it's only 8%. The bad news also is that 8% is divided by the other chiropractors in that region. So it's a very small number. The good news is they're definitely looking for a chiropractor. So there's already a need and they're looking for a chiropractor. So the goal here is to get more patients than, than say your neighbor, so to speak. But those 5 systems still won't give you an exceptional amount of new patients to where you need 1 or 2 associate doctors. The second category is what we call the educational sales category. And we go into the difference between publicity, advertising, and educational sales. Those are the 3 core different types of marketing. And that's where all the business is at. And I'm going to go into why. And actually, you don't even have to do all of them. Matter of fact, most of my offices that I opened, to be honest with you, never did all of these systems. They were really good at 2 or 3 systems, and they did them, and they were good at the 2 or 3 systems that were the most effective. That's, to be honest with you, what happened. Okay. The good news about that also is even though there might be 7, 8 systems, the core of each one of those systems is the same. So if you just know the core of that system, you'll know 8 marketing systems or 9 marketing systems. You will not have to learn 8 different marketing systems. So it makes it really easy to learn, to be honest with you. The third category of marketing is what we call the cold call marketing, and that's the worst marketing. So let's go into each of these right now. And obviously we want to stay away from the cold call marketing, and we definitely want to go into the categories where patients have a need and they're looking, because they're looking. So why not get a few more patients that are looking than not get them? That just makes sense. So we definitely want to do those, but how to go into the big market and attract all the patients, the majority of the patients who are not seeking chiropractors, that's where there's a tremendous amount of opportunity and, quite frankly, a lot of business. And that's where you can help a lot of people. Now, I will share with you, my staff had to learn what I'm getting ready to share with you right now. My staff had to know as employees in the office. They had to know the very basics. In other words, if you took one of my staff members, they would be able to tell you in outline form everything I'm going to cover right now. And the most important part that I get to of the marketing, it's called educational sales, they would be able to tell you it in great detail because they had to do it. They didn't have to do it, but it was a major part of the business and growing the business and sustaining the business. And of course, that's what creates jobs and wages and bonuses and all that kind of stuff. So, and we also are real big into not only training and having every staff member know the basics of it. I mean, my insurance person knew this, and you'll see why. In other words, every team member has to know the basics of what I'm covering, or they'll do the wrong thing. In other words, you'll have one or two team members over here doing the right thing, and then you'll have one over here that'll be saying and doing the wrong thing. And that'll destroy the whole system. And so that's why it's important that every team member is on the exact same page all the time with all these business systems, especially marketing. And so we simplify it. And so that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to make it real simple. So, and then you go, well, what's the reason for doing that? Well, number one is we help people. It's a lot of, it helps. We get to help a lot of people who are not otherwise looking for a chiropractor, that are suffering with all these different problems. And so that's a major reason. But another personal reason is, I teach my doctors to give bonuses. To give you an example, I'll just give you a really basic example. That each time our staff members created, in other words, did this and created new patients, they were bonused. And I'm not going to go into the details of the exact bonus right now, but I will share with you this. We designed the bonus to where the bonus can literally be $250, $500, or $1,000 a month. In other words, it's a big enough bonus to have an impact in your life. It can make a car payment, it can make a house payment, it can pay the electric bills. It can make a big impact in your life. And I've got several doctors whose staff members routinely make $400 to $600 a month bonus. That's in addition to their wages. And that was the same with my staff. My staff had received 4 paychecks. I'll just tell you. One paycheck was for their job. The second paycheck was when they did a good job, when they actually did above average in their job. So they got bonused for that. The third paycheck they got was for the referrals that they got through the marketing systems. In other words, you make extra, it's extra. And then in my particular office, the fourth check that I paid my staff is, remember, I was actually training doctors how to open offices and all this stuff. So my staff members helped in training doctors. So I paid them a bonus for each doctor they trained. So that might not be the case with you at all. Maybe you do have a doctor that is now bringing on associate doctors. And I do, by the way, everything I just shared with you, the chiropractic assistant, is exactly what I share with our doctors. I say, you need to bonus, there's the salary for doing XYZ, and then for the staff members that do above average, they get a bonus for doing above average, and then there's a bonus for the referrals. So you can really create a lot of revenue, if you're pretty good if you're just pretty good at your job, to be honest with you. And you become very valuable, by the way. If you're always getting bonuses with your responsibilities and you know how to do this, you're a very valuable team member. I'll just tell you that. And my team members they were unbelievable. We trained them well. We took time, and they were unbelievably valuable. And they were compensated very well through the 4 different, checks that they got a month. So having said that, your doctor should be bonusing you also. And my clients, I explain how to bonus their staff in all these categories. But your doctor should be bonusing you for this extra effort, because it does take extra effort. It does. So you should be reimbursed for it, okay? So having said that, and it becomes a synergistic relationship. The patient wins, because now we're bringing in patients who would not have otherwise sought chiropractic care. So they win, they get better. The staff, it helps create job security, when we have business. So it not only creates job security, but it also increases bonuses. And of course, then the doctor benefits by having a successful practice. So it's a win-win situation. And remember, everything about patients that we teach is to make it affordable. We, respect our patients' time and make it affordable. That's everything we teach. Okay, so having said that, those are the reasons. Now let's go into these 5 categories specifically. Do be familiar with them. You do need to be familiar with these. So number 1, the top 5 categories. In other words, when patients are looking for a chiropractor, there's 5 areas that they'll look, and they're pretty much in this order. Now, some of these don't have anything to do with the chiropractic assistant. They're really just the doctor. Some of them have a little to do. So let me cover them and itemize them out, okay? So here's the 5. Number 1 is there should always be communication with your past patients, always. Because the number one place that everybody looks when they're looking to buy a product or a service is a trusted source. We would much rather go to a dentist, a doctor, an optometrist, to a mechanic, from somebody that we know and trust, and they say, yeah, that guy's good, I'd go there, see? So that's the number 1 place all of us will always look for business. And so because of that, that's the number 1 thing that should always happen. Now, I call it the video newsletter. We like video because it's visual. 55% of communication's visual, 36% is tone, and only 7% are words. So if there's a video, it's way better than a text, okay? We like the doctor to be in the video. It's much better if the doctor's in the video than not in the video, because the emotional connection with the past patients. Now, obviously, what you say in that video is important too. So we teach that. We teach the doctors how to do very simple videos. It's called the patient video newsletter, and it should go out once a week, at least once a week. And the content is very important. So I cover with the doctors what content should be in that video. So we simplify it. So this is actually pretty easy. Now, the only thing that the chiropractic assistant or the marketing, especially the marketing assistant, because we'll have one designated person that's the primary marketing assistant, and that's typically the person in the back that does the therapies. And the reason it's the person in the back doing therapies is because they're spending all the time with the patients. So they'll know the patients, it'll be easier for them to get referrals, all that stuff, okay? All right, so the only thing that may happen here, we'll plug the video newsletter up. It can be plugged into what's called an autoresponder. So if the doctor makes enough videos, puts them all up on YouTube, and then ties them into what's called an email autoresponder, it's all automated. There's no more work to be done. After it's set up, there's no more work to be done. It's on autopilot. Another option is sometimes the doctors will make the videos, and then he may train you to send them out. He may train the chiropractic assistant marketing to send one video out, like on a Tuesday morning, send one video out. Now remember, the doctor is the one who had to do all the videos. So basically there'll be a bank of videos in your YouTube channel. They'll be SEO'd, search engine optimized, so you can dominate the internet too. And some of those videos will be used into the site. But basically, every time we shoot a video, there's 5 things that should happen. The video should be SEO'd and uploaded to YouTube. That helps for the organic search. Then it should be uploaded to your Facebook page, your business Facebook page. So that's 2. It should be uploaded to your Instagram page. And then it should be sent to it should be put into a blog. You should have a blog for a website. And I explain that to the doctors, the importance of that and how to do a blog and all that. Matter of fact, I even teach the staff how to simply do a blog and the importance of doing a blog for the internet. How does it impact the internet? But it's the single most important thing you could do on the internet is a blog for your website. And I explain how and why and all that. But we will teach staff members to do that too. We simplify that. And then we take the link to that blog and we send it to all of our past patients. So that's a manual way of doing it. So that might be the case in your particular office. Maybe your doctor hasn't tied all the videos into automation yet, okay? So that's pretty easy. That's pretty easy. Even if you just copy the link and send the video and don't put it into the blog of the website. That's pretty easy to copy a link, put it into an email, and send a bulk email to all the patients. Pretty easy, okay? So that could be something, and again, it depends where your doctor's at. Has he done the videos? Has he not done the videos? Are they uploaded? Does he have a blog? So, it kind of depends where he's at on that. But the best situation is that we've done the videos, they're SEO'd, search engine optimized, they're uploaded to YouTube, and they're already integrated into what's called an autoresponder. That's the best situation, and that's what ultimately all the doctors should go to. Of course, the worst situation is the doctor didn't do any videos. And then the second situation is the doctor did the videos and uploaded them to YouTube. And then instead of, putting them into a blog and all that, at least you sent out the videos once a week to your past patients. And by the way, these videos are all solution videos. We cover different topics and we give solutions to them. So it's very beneficial and helpful to patients. Okay, so that's a little bit about the video newsletter. You'll have to talk to your doctor where you're at with that, where he's at with it. Okay, but basically what I'm saying here, there's not much to that. It's not going to take much effort for a marketing assistant to copy a link and send it in an email. Okay? All right, let's go to the next one, or what's called insurance videos. The next thing patients will do is they'll Google their insurance company. They've been taught with their major medical insurance that it costs less if they pick a doctor that's in their network. They'll assume that with personal injury also, even though that's not true, but they'll still Google personal injury insurance carriers also, like State Farm, Allstate, and all that. But they'll Google, like Blue Cross Blue Shield. So I have the doctors do what are called insurance videos. For every insurance company, there's about 5 to 7 personal injury insurances, and there's about 15 major medical. We'll do simple videos, and it answers the questions that the patients have, and it's SEO'd. SEO'd meaning when a patient puts in, in your area, when they put in, like Blue Cross Blue Shield, or Blue Cross Blue Shield chiropractor, or Blue Cross Blue Shield chiropractor, your location, any one of those, that video pops up. And of course, people will pick a video way before they'll pick something they have to read. So they click on the video, and then the video explains the common questions they have, which is, do you accept my insurance? What is the copay? What is the deductible? What's the cost? And who will bill the insurance? Those are the 5 questions that are answered in the video. And then we give them an offer. The offer is to make it easy for them to take the next step and call for an appointment. That's called insurance videos. Now, how much effort is there in that with the staff members? Well, there's literally none. That's all the doctor. The doctor essentially does that. And once it's done, it's done. The only thing that may happen with this is sometimes when those videos, if they're not at the top, in the top 5 spots when you Google those keywords, then what we do is we energize them. I call it just putting it on steroids. And all we do with that is we take the link to that video. We take that video from the YouTube. We embed it into the blog. We SEO the blog. And then that blog is what's called syndicated. So when we hit submit, that blog goes to like 40 different social media sites. And there's a backlink in the blog. The short of it, all of that could have been very confusing, but here's the short of it. When we do what I just said, it energizes that video and pushes it up to be higher on the internet. So every now and then we may have the marketing assistant do that, where you're trained, where you can just, you know how to embed a blog, SEO the blog, and hit submit. Because to be quite honest with you, it's pretty easy. But for the most part, there's nothing labor in there either for the most part. Once it's done, once the doctor just kind of does it and upload it, to be honest with you, it's kind of done. But it is nice every now and then to just regularly, and I'd say even once a week, take one of those videos, one of these insurance videos once a week, throw it into a blog, SEO the blog, hit submit, and send it out. I mean, I would just have that done once a week, because that stirs up and creates a lot of awareness on the internet is what it does. Okay, and it moves the website up, it moves the video up, it puts it at the top of the page. Remember, the higher you are at the top of the page, the more people will click that particular function. Okay, you really need to be in the top 5. You can't be on the second page. No, very few people go to the second page. And you need to be what's called above the fold. And I cover all of this with the doctors, okay? But here's the short of it. Typically, the chiropractic assistants typically won't do anything with that. If they do, then maybe they'll take the video and learn how to put it into the blog. And again, I've got videos on how to do this. I've got training on how to do it. All this is relatively simple. So again, we're not talking about too much effort here at all. And a lot of times there's no effort in this category, to be honest with you. But it is recommended that all of these insurance videos, one a week, not once a week for all of them, one a week is put into the blog. The blog's SEO'd, hit submit, and it's syndicated. That is recommended. That helps tremendously with that video. It helps with your website. It helps with your internet presence, okay? And it's unbelievably simple. You can do it in less than 3 minutes. It's unbelievably simple. Okay, the next one is Google for Business. When patients are looking for chiropractors, the next typical thing they'll do is they'll Google the profession and location. That's what they'll do. That's called Google for Business. Now, what that means is on the internet, when you look at a page, and let's say you're looking for a brick and mortar building, optometrist, chiropractor, it's a brick and mortar building. There's 3 categories of the internet. The first one is called the map section. That's Google for Business. Okay, that's one. The second one under that is organic section. And then on the right side are the ads, and then there's typically 1 or 2 ads at the top. Those are pay-per-click ads. Now, 84% of the people will click the organic section, and in the organic section, the majority of clicks will be in Google Maps. 47% of the time, they'll click the first link. So being in Google Maps is important. Why? It's the 3rd place that patients looking for a chiropractor will go, Google for Business. So it'll be it's like chiropractor location. That's kind of what that's the key word. So we do teach how to do Google for Business. And it's very specific. It's different. It's not the same game as organic or pay-per-click. In other words, all 3 of those types of, when you look at the internet, there's 3 different categories that you kind of see. All 3 of them are different. Pay-per-click is different, organic is different, and Google for Business is different. So we do teach all 3 of them, but right now we're talking about Google for Business. Typically, the most important part of Google for Business, there's several parts that are important, but that's typically the reviews. When we get reviews in Google Maps and Yelp and things like that. And so out of the 5, and I'll just tell you, out of these 5 categories, that's the one that's most proactive with the marketing assistant. That is a system. In other words, we will pick a very specific day, a very specific person, and we'll have a very specific script, on how to get a review in the office. If they don't get a review in the office, they're not given a review. When I leave an office, before I even step outside the door, my mind has already gone to everything else I need to be doing when I walk out of that office, not giving that business a review. So we have captive patients. They're on therapy. So we'll typically have the person doing therapy is the person responsible for doing reviews. And again, that is taught specifically. So I cover that in great detail separately. But that's that category. It's when people put chiropractor location and you pop up, you're like the first one in the maps. Well, I teach how that works. Okay, so out of these 5 categories, to be honest with you, that's really the one that takes a little bit of time and energy for the marketing assistant. The first 2 really shouldn't have, and the last 2 don't either. So that out of the 5 locations, that's the only one that takes a specific person, a specific time, a specific location, a specific function. And we teach how that works. We teach that separately. Okay, that's number 3. So that's the 3rd place that people will go when they're looking for a chiropractor. Now, number 4 is what's called condition videos. They'll Google their condition. Back pain chiropractor, headache chiropractor, back pain doctor. See, they'll Google that. They'll Google their condition. So we create videos of the top 10 conditions: back pain, neck pain, car injury, whiplash injury, sciatica, disc injury. So we create, all the main reasons why people come to chiropractors, and we have videos of those. And now this is the doctor's responsibility. He's the one that should be doing this. Now, he creates all the videos. We do them. They're real easy because they're voiceovers. I actually give the doctors templates, and they just read the template while the screen is being recorded. So it's pretty easy. And then we upload it to YouTube. We search engine optimize the videos. So when people Google, back pain doctor in your location, well, that video has been titled back pain chiropractor location, and it's been SEO'd. And so it pops up. Now, these videos are important because they have very specific messages in them. There's 14 different categories within a piece of advertising. The more of those 14 categories you have in the advertising, the more likelihood the person looking at the advertising will actually call or act. The less of those 14 you have, the less likely. Our condition videos have all 14. Again, the doctor just has to read the screen. The screen's being recorded, and that creates a video. That's how unbelievably easy this is. So this doesn't have much to do with the chiropractic assistant either. But I do recommend the same thing. Once a week, one of these condition videos is syndicated and sent out. Because remember, it does a lot of things. It creates awareness, it stimulates the internet, it's good for the video, it puts the video higher, and it's good for your website. It helps put your website higher. Remember, the higher your website on any page for those keywords, the more clicks you're going to get. So generally speaking, if the doctor just did the videos and SEO'd them, that'd be it, right? But we like to stimulate those videos. I call it putting them on steroids, to push them up and to do all these things I'm talking about. So we like to have the marketing assistant do the same thing that they do with the insurance videos, is once a week, take that video, and even if you just send that out, that's fine, but we like to put it into a blog. And then SEO the blog. It's really simple. I teach that separately. Again, this takes 3 minutes or less. And then hit submit, and it goes to 40 different social media sites. So it helps that video, it helps the website, it helps the presence of everything. All right, so your doctor may have you do that. So did he do the condition videos? Are they up? Are they already on the internet? You see, it depends. Where's your doctor at on this? Has he done them yet? Has he uploaded them yet? Has he SEO'd them yet? Are they on YouTube yet? I don't know. And by the way, a lot of these condition videos are on the website. All of these conditions have different pages on the website. So we'll have a back page video, a neck pain video, page video. I mean, all the major conditions will have a separate page on the website, and these will be embedded in that page. So it helps a lot. So that gives you an idea that, you know, most doctors, if they are done, the most effort that's here, which isn't much, is again just essentially copying an embed code, putting into a blog, SEOing the blog, and hit submit. And again, I teach, once you learn, you know, everything I said can be confusing if you don't know anything about a blog or SEO or blah, blah, blah. Okay, I understand that. But we train this separately. The exact steps of how to do what I'm doing, we train it. And I'll just tell you, once you learn the basics, it's like 2 or 3 steps. Once you learn 2 or 3, 4 steps, it's just easy. It's like copy, paste, boom, 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 submit. I mean, it really is. Okay, so that's the kind of effort we're dealing with. So hopefully you can see we're not talking about a lot of time, effort, and we're definitely not talking about a lot of cost so far in the marketing, okay? And then the 5th category where people will look is the sign. 80% of the traffic in front of an office is the people that live there. They're just going back and forth to work. So that's a lot of potential business, and here's why. Remember, 8% of those people are going to be looking for chiropractors a year. Out of the 92%, 3 out of 4 of them have back pain or neck pain or headaches, but they're just not looking for a chiropractor. So they definitely have chiropractic problems. They're just not looking for a chiropractor. And then life is dynamic. So you can take all of those people that drove by in one day, and X amount of them will have back pain, neck pain, arthritis, joint pain, whatever, okay? The very next day, you could do the research and go, okay, go through again today, and there'll be another group of people in that segment that was in a car accident, that had a fall, that strained their back the day before, the night before, you see? In other words, every day, because we live dynamic lives, even if you have only 100 patients, every day new patients are being created out of those 100. Now, if we led static lives, that wouldn't be true. But we don't. I mean, you know, I hurt myself just the other day. The day before I was fine, you see? So every day there's an opportunity to help somebody. And if there's not within that group that day, the next day it starts over. Because life is dynamic. Things happen. Okay, the 5th one is the sign. And basically, that doesn't take much of any chiropractic assistant help at all. Again, this is again the doctor. We create the video. We put a temporary sign based on the ordinances of that particular city. But it's a very specific sign. It might be for auto injury or back pain, something like that. And then we send them, that sign sends them to a link. Excuse me. I'll give you an example. One of the ones that I like is to talk specifically to the people who have been in auto accidents. Because remember, out of all those people passing every day, 2% of them are in auto accidents every year. So what I like to do is have a sign that'll say auto injury ? And then it'll say free massage ! And if you don't have massage, we just do trigger point massage. It's no, and I explain all this separately with the doctor. And then it says go to, and then typically it'll be the area code, the phone number area code, because everybody knows the area code from that area. And it'll say area code freemassage.com. Okay? Now, when we go there, that's tied to the website, and then there's a video on that page that plays, and it has all 14 of those I talked about earlier. that it has all 14 of those categories that people are looking for when we buy products and services. That's what we want. So that's called the office sign. Now, once it's put up, in other words, the sign out front, the link, the video, it's done. I mean, there's no effort or labor involved with that at all. So you can see in the first 5 categories, how much effort is there on behalf of the chiropractic assistant? Very little. Number 1, the most important is the Google for Business, is to know how to get reviews. That takes the most effort in this category. The only other 2 options is to know how to embed an insurance video or a condition video into the blog and hit submit. There you go. That's it. Now, or take one of those videos, one of those condition videos, and send it to the patients. If the doctor has not hooked it up where it's all automated. So at a specific day, at a specific time, all of these videos are banked in YouTube. We'll take one of those videos, copy the link, put it into an email, and send it out to all the patients. Remember, the doctor should be talking to his patients at least minimum once a week, and the topic should always be relevant to a common problem. Those are called gateways. In other words, the doctor should always be talking about back pain, how he can help back pain, neck pain, sciatica, auto injuries, car injuries, all that stuff. In other words, topics specifically relevant to chiropractic with an offer. And those go out regular. They should go out once a week minimum, okay? And that's the best way. The best way is if the doctor's in the video, the content's proper, and it's hooked into an autoresponder. And if that's the case, there's no need for a chiropractic assistant to be copying and pasting the link anyway. But the point is, these are the top 5. And how much effort and energy is involved in this at this point? Very, very little. Most of it is Google for Business, getting reviews. The other one is insurance videos or condition videos, copying, embedding, and hitting submitting, and that's it. And then the other one is taking one of those other videos, informational videos, and once a week sending it out to your patient base. It's literally copy, paste, send. I mean, we're talking about really simple stuff here. And I go through how to do all this. Specifically, I cover exactly how to do all this. Okay, that's the top 5 categories. That's the first place. That's the first marketing systems every chiropractic office should do, because that's where the patients are already looking. And that's the order that they'll go. That's what should be happening first. Now, are you going to get a lot of business from it? A lot? No. Could you get an extra 2, 3, 4, 5 new patients a week? Yes. Yes, you can. Depending on all the factors I talked about. Okay? But is this where you go to get a lot of new patients anytime you want? No. Because we can't control that, you see. The only thing we can control is being at the top of the list for when people pick, and only 8% of the people are picking. So we can't control that. Now the other marketing we can control. We can do that. It's unlimited. The other marketing is literally almost unlimited, and we can control it. So we'll go into that. But let me wrap up. That's the first category right there. That's the effort involved. That's what should be going on. Those are a few of the variables. So from a chiropractic marketing assistant standpoint, not too much. If anything, the doctor should give you, the person who's responsible for the blog, copying the videos into the blog and SEing on the blog, the doctor should give you a little bonus for doing that. But obviously we're talking about something very simple to do, very simple to do. So literally within 10 minutes, no more than 15 minutes a week, I've sent out, I've increased my insurance video, I've increased my condition video, and I've sent a solution video to all the patients. And I did that in less than 15 minutes. And that was all essentially, and then the only other category is Google for Business. That does take a specific day, specific time, a specific effort, and a little bit of knowledge, and I cover that separately. That's it. So the first 5 categories are unbelievably simple. And that's how that works. And then I'll go into these other categories.